And so I went to the New York Comic Con that they were having that summer. Happened to walk in the door, and who was in line uh, right inside the doorway, but someone from my high school art class in Tampa, Pat Broderick.
Oh, I know Pat.
Yeah, and so I said, weren't you in Mrs. Nimitz's art class? And because we didn't know each other, but we had seen each other. And he said, yeah, I recognize you. Um, he was there just by chance, same time as me, trying to get in the DC apprenticeship program that they had at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, all right, I'll give that a shot. Now, I had not studied comic art or had any intention of doing comics seriously. I was thinking I'd be a humorist of some kind, do my own comic strip maybe, and work for Mad Magazine. So
you were a fan of Mort Drucker, correct?
I wanted to be Mort Drucker, yeah. So Pat actually got into the apprenticeship program, and I did not. But we ended up being roommates for a little while.
Oh, that could be wild.
It was very interesting. We were very different people, but we've been friends now for 50 years. Pat, I think, had wanted to be a comic book artist all his life, so he was a little more advanced and knew visual storytelling, basically, how to set up a shot and how to pose the characters and all that stuff that I didn't know. I had to learn all that.
And you got into the internship eventually, Bob?
No, what happened was Pat kept telling me, you got to go up and meet Neal Adams. He had met Neal up at DC Comics. And I didn't know anything. To me, Neal, I knew he was a comic artist. I knew he was, one of the top comic artists. But I said, well, he's just another comic artist. What good's it going to do for me to meet Neal? And he said, you got to meet him. So I went up to Neal's studio. Neal looked at my samples and said, well, what do you want? And I said, anything that pays. Because by that time, I had used up all the money that I got from selling my car. I had like $10 left. I was going to call my parents and get bus money home back to Tampa. Because I'd been trying for months, getting nowhere, showing my samples to Marvel and DC. The art director at DC, actually, Joe Orlando at the time was the art director. Mm-hmm. He said, you need to go back to school and learn how to draw. And that was pretty much the first criticism I had ever had of my artwork. I get to New York, everybody draws better than I do. Everybody I met, everybody knows more than I do. They tell me I don't know how to draw. And I had been to college and majored in art for a year. I was in art school for a year. I quit both of those because they weren't teaching me how to do cartooning, which is what I wanted to be, some kind of cartoonist.
Right.
And I just figured, well, I'll just have to teach myself, which is pretty much what I ended up doing. Neal picked up the phone and called Marvel. John Verporten was the production manager at Marvel. Mm-hmm. And he said, I got a guy here. Well, some art potential, but a lot of potential as a letterer. And he said, do you need anybody in the production department? Uh-huh. And John said, yeah, we can use somebody. So he got me a job at Marvel in the production department just on his say-so. That was like a Friday. I started on Monday, and they still didn't want to see my portfolio. They just said, here's your desk. Here's what we want you to do, and go to it.